Welcome back to the technical area, where we go beyond the touchline with the sharpest minds in the beautiful game. I'm your host, Andrea Lombardo, and this episode of Fantasy Poolies Footy Show and the technical area is brought to you by our incredible sponsors. Addison Albert Luxury Events, thoughtfully designed. From high-end weddings to curated brand activations, they don't just plan events, they create experiences. And the Genius Studios, a full-service creative marketing agency for brands that want to stand out without selling out. Content, strategy, social, all under one roof. I'm your host, Andrea Lombardo, and today we're joined by one of the most respected and accomplished coaches in Canadian soccer history. Carmine Sako is a distinguished figure in Canadian soccer, renowned for his extensive contributions as both a player and coach. Carm began his soccer journey at the University of Maryland, where he earned recognition as a freshman All-American and was a three-time All-ACC first-team selection. Four-time. My apologies. Four-time. One more time, you would have been like Booker T.
No, they only have 4 years, bud.
Okay.
And Tony Miola robbed me the first year, right?
In 93, he represented Canada at the World University Games. And then transitioning to a professional playing career, Isacco spent 4 seasons with Toronto Italia in the National Soccer League, earning Goalkeeper of the Year honors in his inaugural season and being named a Canadian All-Star 3 times. He further showcased his skills with teams such as the Milwaukee Rampage, Rochester Rhinos, and Toronto Lynx in the A-League. His indoor soccer tenure included stints with the Toronto Shooting Stars and the Milwaukee Wave, with whom he secured a league title in '98. Isacco's coaching career is equally illustrious. He began as a player coach with the Supra in the Canadian Professional Soccer League, CPL, in 2002, earning the Coach of the Year award. He then led the University of Toronto men's soccer team to consecutive OUA silver medals and a CIS silver medal in 2005. In 2007, Isacco took the helm of the York University men's soccer team, transitioning the program into a national powerhouse. Under his guidance, the Lions have clinched multiple OUA championships. The OUA West Division, guys, I'm sure, Luca, you know this one. Penna, this might be a surprise to you. 17 years in a row, OUA West champion, and 4 U Sports national titles, 2008, 2010, 2014, 2015. His exceptional leadership has been recognized with multiple Coach of the Year accolades at both the provincial and national levels. In addition to his university coaching roles, Isacco has contributed significantly to the Canadian national teams. He served as a coach on the Pan Am Games staff, youth national team staffs, and senior men's staff under Mauro Biello. Beyond his national team engagements, Isacco has been instrumental in club soccer, notably as the head coach and director of soccer of Vaughan Azzurri in League1 Ontario, leading the team to multiple championships. His tenure with CS, Centro Scuola Azzurri, back in the day, and really his comprehensive experience across various levels of soccer in Canada underscores his profound impact on the sports development in this country. A man who has seen every layer of Canadian soccer from grassroots to the pros and helped shape it. Coach Carmy Sako, welcome to the technical area.
That's a standing O, eh? We got
time is done for today.
And that's how you debate. That's how you debate.
No, you don't. It's supposed to be a fun show. You don't bore people with that stuff.
You're the godfather,
You're boring,
buddy.
You're all boring. You don't do that.
This is like Mafia's Most Wanted.
No,
You're
don't
the godfather.
We actually don't have enough time for anything else, Carv. Thanks.
Yeah, have a good day, guys.
Actually, if you want to make it more fun,
you forgot that I ruined your career by bringing you to Toronto FC while you were in the playing for Perugia, and I kept telling you, Andrea, why don't you come back to Toronto? Why don't you come back to Toronto? You remember that conversation?
I was actually
I ruined you, and look at Luca now. He's a mess. Look, so why don't you tell people the truth?
Penna's the only one who's got it together.
Penna didn't. Penna was my boy, so he didn't get screwed up by me. Not by me, by other people.
Yes.
Fran O'Leary screwed you big time. Yes.
Big time.
Yeah, but why you bore people with that?
Because you're the godfather.
No, do the dance, Luca. Do the dance.
Okay, hold on. Can I tell you why we got to do that, Carm?
No, you don't tell me. Move on.
Our listeners, we have
your listeners don't
eight podcast downloads.
Give
We have 8 podcast downloads in Bolivia. believe it or not. You think they know who you are?
That's all about.
I
It's
saw Serge
$8
Marchand yesterday, and he was telling the right back on Scarborough Missouri to kick Julie
They've said.
Rotatola. And I said, Serge. And I said, Enzo, in my best Spanish. I said, Enzo, no tocar, no tocar.
No puede ser, Enzo. No puede ser, loco.
Oh,
Carm, let's get serious for a second. League One is back, and Vaughan is kicking off their season shortly. Talk to me about about the evolution of League 1 Ontario
that's a great story.
from its inception to where you see it now today.
Well, I grew up in National Soccer League days, the CSL days, and the level of the game, and the level of foreigners that helped improve the game. And your dad would know, Pena, like they did teams like Argentina, which are eventually turned into Scarborough Astros. They had Croatia that would bring Bundesliga players, and they had Toronto Italia, who we had one of the best. Luka knows him too, Sasha Nedev, Yugoslavian players. We had an incredible league there. So that kind of set the standard of play, right? And then it went to CPSL, which grandfathered a lot of NSL people into the CPSL. But needless to say, the organizational level, the marketing level, marketing was great because we used to get 5,000 every game with Toronto Italia. It was a different world. Your dad would know for sure. Onofrio and Mr. Gills would know, how incredible those games used to be. But it was still driven by community, by cultural community. I'll never forget when we beat the Latinos in the cup final, and the poor guy was trying to announce the championship winners at the stands. They cut the cord. Thank God for Adolfo Mela. When I was leaving Lamport Stadium, Adolfo came with me. He says, "No, Carmen, I gotta come with you." So I would have
Because they'll beat you up.
100%, 100%.
That's the culture we need.
Yeah, well,
We need that back, I think.
so anyway, the irony of this is there was Rafael Carvajal, Dino Rossi, who were in the CPSL with Milton, and they were kind of fed up with the lack of organization. They were fed up with all the kind of political things that would happen. Like one year, Toronto Italia beat Toronto Jets in the semifinal, and there was a maybe missed call. So Pasquale Fioccola said no to the league. You have to replay the game because there's a missed. Long story short, we ended up replaying a semifinal cup game because of anyway. It was a great standard, a great level, but unfortunately, the organization and the streamlining into the new age of football wasn't happening. So Rafael Carvajal, who I have 1,000 times respect for him, he kind of saw things moving forward, and he kind of worked himself with Dino Rossi, who was obviously a pioneer of the game and changed a lot of the game. A lot of people would say that without him, this new transition for League One and CPL would have never happened, and his alliance with Victor Montogliani. So all these things kind of came together, and they looked at that time I transitioned to Vaughan, and they looked at some of the strongest clubs in the community and said, you know what, we can't get this done without credibility. So they looked at Vaughan, they looked at Woodbridge, and they looked at Sigma at the time, which was an up and coming club, and Bobby Smirnos and Costa were doing some big things there as well. They looked at those groups and they kind of said, how can we transition this game? And that was kind of the beginning of League One. But until we went to our board, which at the time was not always the most forward-thinking board, but then the transition of Tony Bartz and Nikki came in and kind of supported the whole resurgence of what Vaughan Soccer was. We finally got League One to go through. We finally got League One to go through, and that was a long process. And that was 5-year plans and doing a lot of work for people that were used to the Mon Pa parent coach, hacking darts on the sideline type of mentality, which isn't all wrong, but
Marcello Lippi was amazing. He used to hack.
But those were
anything on the field.
cigarellos. Those were cigarellos.
Yeah, maybe don't do the
God
cigarette.
rest his soul. No one used to hack darts more than an OWSL game than Kerry D. Tomasis. He'd sit there and just go over and over. and Tony Bart, probably. At least he'd go behind the fence at Maple CC.
More or less than Pagliaroli back in the CS Azzurri days, because I remember with my brother there was a pile. He would pick grass in a crouched position and just darts, just butts by the end of the game, all on top.
Plastic, but but he was the irony of Pagliaroli. He was one of the innovators of fitness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the innovators of fitness and soccer, and it's too bad that maybe your older brothers know, but you guys never got to meet some of the characters. Some of the people that kind of evolved this game to levels, whether it's George Armua, which you guys probably know, Emilio Hernandez. There's so many people in this. Pietro Felicetti, Rocco Lofranco, so many characters in our world that kind of made the game go. And you could question their ethical approach sometimes. And I got a story for that. You could question all that, but they made things go. If without these people making things go, we would have never seen Lazio, Toronto, Italia. We would have never seen Celtic come. We would have never seen Benfica come. We would have never seen
Parma. I remember Benarivo. We went to Varsity Stadium.
We saw the inception of Buffon in that game. You guys don't know that. Buffon was a 17-year-old.
We do know that. We were there.
And Giovanni Galli got mad because he took him out at half of the half, and he threw his gloves, went nuts, and Buffon became the backup goalkeeper because they sold Galli. And in the first game, Luca Bucci got hurt. There goes Buffon. He stood on his head as a 17-year-old, and the rest is history. But Buffon's career started in Toronto at Varsity Stadium. So the history of this game, is really important to note. And I didn't even touch upon a little bit of it. But the history of this game is what brought us to new levels, League One, CPL, and all that stuff moving forward.
And so, in your estimation now with League One, OPDL, has the overall player pool improved? Is the talent ceiling higher, or is it just that there's more opportunity for kids than there was back in the day?
That's the great point. I mean, obviously, it starts with the credibility. Let's look at this new group that kind of developed. When I was with the national team with Mr. Floro back in the day, we had Julian de Guzman, who was about 36 years old, and he was by far the best player on the field. And we had
Floki, settle down.
Floki. Anyway, so the level, and it's not a knock. We had some great leaders, and people like Milan Boyan was getting opportunities when he was young. But when we started, the level and the talent and the exposure of this talent was very limited, right? And then when we started giving players an opportunity to fail, the Tebow was in the mix because the Tebow is just a monster. And speaking of Hall of Famers, he should be in 3 times. And you look at other players that never got that look, whether it was Osorio moving through the system, Luca Cavallini, Junior Hoylett. You guys know these. Luca and Lombardo trained at Fur Field with these guys too. A lot of these kids, this group that gave the Canadian game credibility, not taking away anything about the coaches and the managers did, but they were found out through an OYSL system, a relegation and promotion system. And the word elitism is full paw now. We can't really say that. But these players, we can go on and on about these players. Mark Anthony Kays of the world. These players came through what was known to be or defined as a toxic environment and not good enough for our community. You guys know. You guys played in the OYSL, and you guys are coaching or coached in the OPDL. So so that kind of sample size has created those players. That OYSL created what we have. The Richie Larias, all those players came. Kamal Millers were all built within an OYSL system that wasn't standard based necessarily, but was competitively based. That was a lot of words that we can't use these days. It was about competition. It was about promotion, relegation. It was about all those things. But that might have given them, the grit and the resilience that they all needed to get to that next level. And even guys that we were familiar with, Alistair Johnson and all those guys came through that OYSL system. And the transition to OPDL, which still if you guys can define what Ontario Player Development League means, it's still tough to get that definition. It's a standard-based league, but a developmental league. So is it a standard? I remember the first year we had the O1s. First year, Serge and I looked at each other and company and said, you know what? We have, to what our standards are at Montessori, we have 14 players that we think meet the standard. So we signed 14 players for that first OPDL team in 2001. And the OSA looked at us at the time and said, what are you doing? I said, well, we have 14 players there, and we have 16, 17 players playing in CSL. But you have to sign 20 players for OPDL. I thought it was a standard-based league. We said, we believe our standards are only with these 4 teams, and there's probably 6 or 5 or 6 that could come up and add to it and see how they develop throughout. They're 13 years old. That was kosher. We had to sign. You had to sign 20 players to meet that. Again, the OPDL was, and I'm not knocking it by any means. I think again, the transition from NSL, CNSL, CPSL to League One was important. So maybe the transition from OYSL to OPDL is important, but you have to. We have to differentiate between standard based and developmental based. And is this an elite league? Is this a standard based league? Or are 30 teams supposed to be? Are we in a realistic situation where there's 30 teams with players that can be developed for that U15, 16 national team? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but
And so-
OPDL has done a better job now because we essentially do have promotion relegation in those mid-season standings, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the best thing they could have done, and they did do that. So in that second half of the season, we are playing in the top tier in what we would call OYSL. 10 team, that's our OYSL, right?
And forgive my ignorance, but why did the transition from OYSL to OPDL need to? You mentioned it needed to happen because of, I guess, the League One structure. Why couldn't the OYSL just, I guess, stay? Maybe that's a dumb question.
You want me to answer that question? A gentleman who very respectful, very intelligent, Alex Kiat from New Zealand came into Ontario, took over as the technical director. He set up a task force. Okay, so it was assumingly
like a SWAT team?
it's SWAT.
Rossi was the head. Rossi was the head.
with Elon Musk.
So anyway, long story short, he made this team and a group probably led by former national team assistant coach Lou, help me out.
Assistant coach?
Jason Devos,
Oh,
who's another good man. They looked at the status of the Ontario Soccer Association and said, "Wow, wait, we're in trouble. Number one, financially, they were in big trouble." And this was a kind of twist of what was happening in the U.S. for pay to play, and it was a evolution to what we have right now with astronomical prices to play soccer. I mean, like you guys used to pay maybe $200-300 to play registration.
Peanuts.
Of course, Penna didn't. Penna didn't pay registration and got a free pair of shoes for sure.
that me and Lou paid for.
I
Yeah.
want to say that's a joke, but unfortunately, it's not. I didn't pay for my registration fees. Me and Jay Ice got covered by our amazing manager ever since we were 12. So, yeah, but
we paid double. We paid double.
yeah.
So Carm, is back to the original question, is it better now, the landscape, or the player pool,
I
the
think it's yet to
players
be
that you're
seen.
seeing now?
How many
Yet to be
O1s?
seen.
How many O1s are with the national team right now? And the O1s are 24 years old. How many O1s are with
That's
other
the
than
first year
Promise?
OPDL.
Promise David. Promise.
Yeah.
Promise that, who had to go through uh, hell and high waters to get to that next level, playing in Latvia and playing in lower levels in Croatia and playing
Malta.
Malta.
Yeah.
Malta, yes, Malta, yes. Well, good on him.
That's half Maltese.
Huh?
Penna's a quarter Maltese.
I'm a half Welsh and half Hungarian.
I've married into a Maltese songs.
He's actually
But,
a quarter
Let him finish
Maltese.
the joke. Can you let him finish the joke?
no, I can't finish the joke.
Oh, he can't finish the joke. Yeah.
No, I'm half Welsh, half Hungarian. You can
Okay.
call me what you want. Anyway, so yeah, but how many other old ones that were like have been identified for the national team? Oh, three, but from BC, it was probably a different setup. Nico Sugar, who we know well. Who else?
Yeah, but out in BC, they had the OPDL equivalent.
Correct. Fair.
Yeah.
He was with Vancouver Whitecaps probably through a lot of his youth.
Yeah. Is there any O2s on it?
O2. Let's think about that transition from the OPDL system or even the BC system to the first team. It's not many. I mean, if we're having trouble talking about it, it's not many. It's not fair because the 2000s was the last year of as OYSL, which is Jonathan David. Which,
Yeah, exactly. They all would have been OPDL players. This is
Yeah.
why I don't like that argument. Jonathan David would have been an OPDL player. So because he's 1 year from being there, we're going to say the OYSL is way better than the OPDL.
No, but what he's saying is
the argument is competition.
Yeah.
30 teams in the OPDL. 13, where there was what, 12 that had to qualify for OYSL?
Yeah, usually.
So where was the congregation, or where was the focus or the concentration of the good players?
Yeah. Like it's
Tier 1.
Yeah, so like my era of OYSL, any standout player who was playing in Division Two would get scooped up by any OYSL team, right? So
Yeah.
the OYSL truly was a collection of the 12 best teams with all of the best players in the province. Were
Yeah.
playing
So, and
OYSL.
I'm not saying, and they're the next layer for the hierarchy. We'll talk about the MLS academies. No problem. That's the next layer. No problem. There's arguments for and against that. We've seen players come out of there and do well, like Colsey Thompson, and we've seen players come out of there and just fade. But what about the next layer of players? Is OPDL doing the job that they need to soccer? Remember, soccer is a late developing sport. Okay, it's a late developing sport. If we are we agreeing with the system saying that what the OPDL does, and I'm not disagreeing by any means, and I'm not trying to smack it in the chin by any means. And I was the first advocate to see how this works. And we've been how many years in OPDL now? What, almost 10?
Well, almost 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, uh, is that the next layer? My only argument to the upper above is, and they want to do away with the district program. I'm like, I just want another layer. Their OPDL fine. It exists how it exists, but whether this other layer, whether we call it a district program, whether it runs away from the OPDL program, but there has to be that next layer because MLS academies are going to miss players and they can only take realistically 18. And some levels have 30, 40, 50, 60 players. Why not develop that? And we used to have the district program, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
The district program was pretty much a tournament. There wasn't a lot of concentration, but why not take the 6 months where OPDL is not playing and redefine that district program or the best of the best within York Region or Toronto like we used to do, but have it a longer season, have it or 4 memorable events away from the OPDL where these players are being identified. And then the MLS academies come in and say, whoa, we made a mistake here, or whoa, we could look at him. or they may not like the player. I mean, look at Kamani Baines. Like, he was in TFC. They didn't like him. Kamani Baines and
The
he,
list is long. Let's get real.
A lot of guys.
That
yeah,
list
a lot
is
of guys.
that
So
list
Well,
is
to your
very
point, soccer's a late blooming sport, right? And there's no, development happens at a different stage for everybody, right?
yeah. Like Nico. Nico's a great example out west. Where in the end it didn't work out with Vancouver Whitecaps. Came to York University and we're like, this guy's really good.
Yeah, we
And then
knew from like the first game he played.
Yeah.
I'm watching him in the stands, just how he takes a first touch, and I'm like, how is this kid not a pro? Like,
Yeah.
serious baller.
And then he took the risk, he took the jump, and it all worked out.
yeah. So, sorry.
You kind of got ahead of, and it's fine. You kind of got ahead of me with my next question, which was what's missing still from the Canadian soccer landscape. It sounds like, I guess that district program. Is there anything else that you think is missing where we
Yes,
can
of
make
course,
things better?
of course, of course. Just scouting, guys. How many we CS Missouri back in the day? Luca, Andrea, it was James Finch corridor, North York kids that stayed around, and the Spanish corridor. How many good players did we have that are getting ignored because of the financial obligations of OPDL? How many? And we say, oh, we're helping. There's systems, but so many are getting ignored. So many times we used to go to what was that school, Lou, with the fields, the hydro fields, not G. Ross Lord. That's where we had the
Escher
barbecue.
Shiner.
W. Jeffries,
No,
No, Escher Shiner.
Shorehand,
no.
Shorehand.
About the school close to Esther Schreiner. What's the
It's
school?
a different name now. Not the school close to Esther Shiner. Put it to shit.
What? Janet Finch?
Yeah, the Spanish league there.
McGuigan?
No,
Regina Patches.
Patches?
no. You guys are all
Monsignor
outdoor
Percy
field.
Johnson.
No.
The hydro
buddy.
field in front of the mall.
Yes,
that's
right
Regina
by the
Patches,
mall where they had
where
the
the
hydro
police
field.
station. Regina Patches.
Say sorry.
Regina Patches.
Yeah, I
It
said
was
that.
Regina Patches. Yeah.
Yes,
said-
Regina Patches. All right, I am sorry.
You know how many churros I eat there?
Yeah, but my point is you know how many players existed in that level? You know how many coaches existed at that level that go ignored? You know how many Ghanaians like Kofi Boateng and Richard Asante going to get ignored because of the new system? I mean, Richard has his academy and he's working hard to find those players, and he probably will. So how many players that just go underneath, or even Scarborough? Scarborough's an untouched territory too now. All those players that don't have that financial ability to be at the top standard are getting ignored. So how do we find a system that brings those players in? How did we find that system? Yesterday we were at Downsview with our OSL group, and on the other side there must
Was
have been
Kova there? Sorry, was Kova there?
Kova. Kova is in Saskatchewan, playing in the World Cup. He just got signed by my good friend Kevin Holtness, playing in a 7-a-side tournament or an 8-a-side tournament for I think it's Jamaica. So Kova, good luck. Good
Is that
luck.
real? Is this real? Hold on.
Kevin Holness, thank you very much. Kova is I don't know if there's ever going to be another character like him. No, he goes to Regina for he's doing his doctor stuff. He's doing his making people fall asleep stuff, and he's asking for a hookup. Carm, you have a hookup to play? I was like, actually, I do. And Kevin Holness is one of the studs in Regina soccer, but at Regina Patches, Regina soccer, I'm all confused now. But Cole found a way. Cole found a way. So,
Loves footy. I told him to quit on last episode.
yes, you
So I
did. You
like,
told him to quit.
yeah, I like where this is going now. We love you, Kova. Sorry.
So Carm, let's talk about you. I know you hate talking about you, but let's talk about you a little bit and your impact on what's now generations of talent, right? When you look back, how has your coaching style, and maybe Luca can attest to this well, being his first assistant, right hand man, and player before, but how has your coaching style changed or evolved, from, the early 2000s up until now. It's been, 20, 30 years.
Ooh, lots of changes.
Lots of changes. Really?
Yeah,
Has
because
he
you have to,
changed?
like,
You think he's
You're
changed?
saying he's soft?
Guys,
you got to pamper
that's
players now,
coaching.
don't you?
Coaching is nada if they don't have Luca Fornos and Andrea Lombardos and Adrian Pennas. Right? I came out as a superstar in 2010, but Adrian Penna took a 50-yard ball down with his chest, side volleyed in the corner, 10 men down. That's coaching, Andre. That's the evolution. Yeah. Luca Forno and Frank Bruno had this incredible these incredible sequences in 2008 with Adrian Penna, with players like Jarek Waitman and Andrea. Like, guys, yes, there's a tactical level, but as I grow older and older, and I look back, that it's the people I surrounded myself with that make the difference.
Wait,
And
so
I
you're
look,
saying it wasn't the tactical board with the marker where it was all like, you guys remember that? It was just black everywhere,
Yes,
you
and then
know
it
what?
yes,
just
I take that
absolute
back. I
gibberish.
take that back. One of the memories I'll never forget, and it'll probably make me laugh on my deathbed, is Luca Forno playing wide left and tracking back with his run. You remember that run? That run.
You know what? You know what? And
Oh,
I think Garm is the godfather, and I say it. Imagine playing me and Penna wide. That's the only time on earth Carm got it wrong, okay? Me and
Put
Penna
it in
wide.
perspective. Who was behind you both? And how many?
I had Bronco. He was just fouling everyone.
Yeah.
He
And
was
who was
amazing.
and either?
Wax was insane. So it was easy
Yeah.
for me. But I still, all I know to do was try to be honest. Even though I was slow, I wasn't fit. So I would recover. But when I look back, I should have been the high, thinking I was Lionel Messi,
But
not
we
the
didn't
Fang.
listen back then with the players that we had, and we had the ball 95% of the time. It wasn't such a bad. And how many tens in the world do you see in their 4-4-3 playing wide left or right and have a free roll?
Yeah, but
See,
me and
Andre,
Penna,
I was an
me, Penna,
innovator.
and
I was
Brew
an
were kind of good
innovator.
with the ball,
Carm
right?
was ahead of the
See
times.
what?
Carm was ahead of the game.
he was inverting
That's right.
fullbacks
And you
before
had,
inverting fullbacks was a thing.
Yeah.
to be
He
fair,
thought I was
to be
Di Maria
fair,
all of a
to be
sudden.
fair,
Same pace,
Andrea would
too.
have done a better job in one of those wide areas, but I kept
You
him at the
think?
target.
You think?
But it was Andrea making the over shoulder runs, cutting it back to you and Lucas. So whether it's
But
Yeah, it
I'll
didn't
say
really
this.
work out.
But I'll say this, Carm.
I lost.
I'll say this, Carm. Because of the amount of love that we have for you, and because we all knew what kind of coach you were, we were all willing to take that sacrifice to play in your team. So
Yeah.
that says a lot about you.
yes.
And that's the
There, I
difference.
appreciate that, but it was more for each other than anything else. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
we have a
it
podcast
was the
now as
group
old men.
it was
So.
the groups you guys set, and I mean let's talk about general concept stuff, because this show is not about us and a 30 for 30 with
People want to hear it. You'd be surprised.
I don't think they want to hear it,
We
but
still need a 30-30. Hey, we still need a 30 on that 2010 run
Yeah.
for sure. Because that season was historical.
yeah, like
17 red
there's
cards.
and we say this all the time in our world. There's so many people and players, whether it's soccer or life, that have so little and accomplish so much. We talk about Mark Anthony Kays, the Nico Sugar, the all you like a lot of you guys had so little but accomplished so much. That 2010, I mean, we had and like we had people that Gerard Ladieu, who came off, like we talk about all these people that write these books now and make millions of dollars about grit and about struggle and this and that. Look at Gerard Ladieu. Came from Ivory Coast. His father was a political refugee, killed like probably he didn't know where he was. Like these are stories where are real. These are stories that shape. Yes, he became his mentality, his ideology, his life shaped our team too. That 2010 team. Like those are struggles. Those are people that should be writing books, not sports. Excuse my, I know not that I'm against sports psychology, but I think that these people. So for me, there's the writers of the books and the authors and the doctors, but there's the people that are their muses, or they're people that are the product of everything else. And I think that we've had a lot of people that were the substance to the next things. Gerard Ladieu, Dougie, all these people in this, and a lot of people that we know. And then there was a bunch of characters that gave them love back, took them under their arms and knew that they were there for them. So if we talk about team building and we talk about tactics, Andrea, did we talked about all these things? Yeah, but the most important people was people was the you guys call it Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, all that stuff. You guys held each other accountable. Right?
So is that what keeps lighting your fire after all of these years? Like, is it the people? Or it's been 11 years now since the last national title at York. Is that like what fuels you to keep going after all of these? No, but what
10 years.
fuels you to keep going after all of these? After all
only
these
10
years?
years, eh? Calm down.
I mean, I love it. I mean, I love, again, I surround myself with, I'm nothing without Luca and our staff too. Like, nothing. Like, that's what, with our people, that's the reality. I hate the idea of coach of the year or this and whatever you said, because it's not. It's a staff, it's a group, right? That's it. Then, and Luca, I know what Luca does for me at York University, what Hugh Quach eats rice does all the time for us. These are some substance people, and when we bring other people in, even the Frenchie Gogs is does good work and listens, and yes, do we have a tactical plan? Yes. Are we very flexible in that tactical plan? Do we adjust our tactical plan to the players that we have? Absolutely. But I think it's a player first mentality, and it's not necessarily about playing the beautiful game or doing this and that. It's what's more efficient for our group at the time. In 2010, people will argue that we weren't the most talented group in the world, but we had, a great striker. We had players that were going to, give their right ventricle for the team. Domi and Bronco and Carlos Noguera. Uh, you know,
Shout
like
out, you got to shout out Ilya
shout
Orlov.
out Ilya Orlov. Ilya was a beast. Ilya was a beast with the mask in the finals, and players like that, and Shane Lammy, thanks for his red cards.
He got 2 that year. He did get 2 that year.
So and we and Jamal Smith. Wait, Jamal Smith. So
Jamal
looking
fracturing
back,
his ankle. I'm telling you, 30 for 30, man.
and we had the Grande Luigi Caruso. And we covered a lot.
Soti. Forgot
I must
Soti that, eh?
no, but
Soti.
Soti, we covered a lot for Soti.
Soti, the
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
Anyway,
Sometimes I didn't play close to offside because I'd have Jamal behind Soti. Yeah.
yeah, but can I say this? I say this, and this is
Soti
why
in the final was huge when we needed him.
he was amazing. Soti, and Soti is the best goalie in the history of the OUA on crosses.
Yeah.
And you realize when you don't have him how vital it was, because every team against York wants to cross the ball and get the ball in the mixer, and Soti used to clean that up with ease every single time. But I say this about Carm, and he's humble, and he created us from that, and I think we were mentally tougher, and we saw a coach who he would take accountability. If he thought he made a mistake, he would let us know he made a mistake. And that taught us later on in life, right? And when I make a mistake as a coach, I'm the first to say it, right? And and I think that teaches a lot to the kids, because accountability is the biggest issue with soccer these days, right? I think not only with soccer, and I won't go on a big rant, in life and in society. Nowadays, if you get in trouble at school, whose fault is it? It's the teacher's fault. The
Teacher did something wrong.
Yeah, you get in trouble at soccer or you're not playing, whose fault?
The coach
is it?
sucks.
The coach's fault. When you got in trouble as a kid in soccer in school, whose fault was it? It was your fault. You kidding me? It's your fault. Yeah. Always.
Except for Gills. Gills in a tree. How are you doing? Take him off.
Tell
the his own ball. Take him off.
Because he wanted to play tiki taka. He wanted to play tiki taka. He didn't want guys dribbling around everywhere. He wanted to play good football. Good for you, Gil.
And we
had it
did.
right.
And we
was
did.
Pep.
He was what?
I,
Yeah.
Hills
he
was Pep before
Yeah.
Pep.
Yeah, with darts and a mustache.
Yeah, with darts, an espresso, and a stash.
and
Yeah.
don't forget a lab by his side.
You
Miko
go-
just trolling the hills.
But
But I think Carm, I think your legacy is, and to piggyback on that accountability there, Lou, is you have this ability to keep people accountable, call them out, say they're shit when they're shit, but still pull out the best out of people. And I think Pat was on the show last week and he had a great quote where he said he continues to, he always believed in me. He let me do my thing. He let me make mistakes, and he continues to believe in me. And I think that's one of your strongest attributes. And that's what essentially gets players to, you talk about 2010 guys who would give their left, you know what, for the team. I think that's why we do it, because you have this probably just innate ability to, like, you know, give people enough leash to figure it out on their own while also keeping them accountable and telling them they're shit when they need to be shit. Right.
That's a gift. Yeah. That's a gift.
And you know what else is the biggest gift? And I'll say this, and I stand by this. I know, yes, I've worked with him, and everyone knows him as right-hand man. He is the best in-game tactician you'll ever find. No one is better. I'm still trying to learn after all these years, you know, and I've learned some of it, but no better in-game tactician. The game's going on. After 10 minutes, he'll have an idea, and he'll say something, and we'll execute. And most of the time, it works, right? Not
But what
all the
about
time,
those
but that's good.
pre-practice meetings at York where he's like, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to do the thing with the thing. And then when I was on
which one?
This.
you know which one, you know which
That
one we're doing.
You know.
I don't. And I look at Goats and I get all. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Hey, let's have a little bit more. Hey, let's
What
have a
about
little bit more.
recruiting? We got a ninja.
York, you guys got a ninja this year?
We got a
No
ninja.
comment. Let's move on. No comment. Move
Hey,
on.
let's have some fun here, Carm. It's time for half volley hot takes. This is quick, you know. This is quick. We got to get your top of your head answers.
Spit it out.
By the way, about Pat, just quickly.
Yeah,
Pat.
go.
Pat, like, you know what? Pat and I are like brothers. Like, we have that type of relationship. And whenever I was coaching, I knew whenever you guys were playing, and then when I was playing pro back in the days, and I always needed that phone call to your dad, right? To make you feel comfortable, to make you reassured, all those things, those little things. And that's what I'm there for Pat for. You know, I'm so proud of him. I'm happy for him. He earned everything he's done. And I just want to be there if he needs that. That's all. If he needs that. It was never about, we were very different a lot of times. And I used to tell him that. But I used to say, hey, Pat, I like watching your teams more than mine. So that's the reality of the situation. Like, I'm proud of him. And I think we should all learn to celebrate our, like Luca, I know you're all about family, our family success. So we should all celebrate his success. We should all be there in body and soul when we can, because he needs our support. And I think
This weekend.
Yep, this weekend. Unfortunately, I'll be in Italy, but you guys make sure you keep your drinks to yourself, Adrian Penna.
But
I'm on a
I have
cleanse.
a hard question.
After my vacation.
I have a hard question here. Do you have a Halifax Wanderers jersey that Patrice gave you?
I have a hat.
Nice.
I have
a hat and a scarf. That's it.
Scarf.
Yeah.
Oh man, let's
I've
go
got
into
I've got a nice Dane St. Clair jersey though. That's for sure.
nice.
Thanks for
Nice.
giving me the towel.
No, he said this is for the prize. This is for that.
Yeah. Thank God I won it again.
Yeah, give him a 5 vote again.
I will.
And I'm gonna take that shirt too. That he
So he wants to talk about the OPDL. I just coached his son. He plays on the 2012.
No, you're gonna make him cry.
No, I gotta let him know.
He watches the pod, man.
Does he watch the pod? And I gave him a photo, but I'm hard on him. You gotta be hard on him. Hey.
By the way, we ran out of pods at the office. We need to get some more. So they're strapped on machine.
Hey, let's do these half volley hot takes. You're building a roster from scratch. Me, Luca, or Penna, you can only take one of us. First overall pick. You got to build around this player.
Luca. because he'll bring you and Penna.
That's
He's an
It's true.
excellent recruiter. Excellent recruiter.
You know
The
what?
ref,
You know what? The only poaching, I got to say this quick. The only poaching we ever did was we were 16 years old and Franco Ruscetta came as a guest player. We were in Cincinnati. I don't know if you remember this, Carm. And Carm goes, "You stay in a room with him. You got to get him to come over. You got to get him." Yeah, he said it. Don't listen to
and
him.
then what happened in the room? Tell everybody what happened in the room. What song was played?
Which one?
Miss Jackson.
Oh,
To
yeah.
this
Sorry,
day.
Miss Jackson. That's right.
I
And
still don't
would see
understand
him
why
at
that's.
Luxor nightclub, and I was ripping it at Luxor. Are you kidding me? 16 years old at Luxor, and I got him to the team. Carm, you poached the player.
What happened with that? What happened
What?
with that? What happened with Franco?
He's a legend.
And then we got another legend.
Zooks legend. Zooks and Franco, all because of Luca Forno. So good answer. You're right there, because we know that Loms and Penna were better players than me. We say it, but hey, I was the glue. I'd be the first to say I know Loms.
You're still the glue. We have a friend function. Nobody answers until Luca Forno answers. If if you want something done with, there's 13 fantasy poolies. If somebody's having a barbecue, there's a baptism, quinceañera, something is going on. If there's a poll and Luca Forno hasn't answered yet, you're working the back channels, texting Lou, "Hey, go answer the poll so that other people can pipe up." You know that's happening 100%.
Amazing.
Carm, the ref who hates you the most.
Is there an option for all of the above?
No, you gotta pick.
You gotta pick the one. You know who it
All
is.
of the above.
You do? Who do you think it is, Vanna?
All of the above. Keyzan for sure, but remember Keyzan?
Who?
Well,
Keyzan, I would say
Keyzan.
top 3.
Who? No, listen, all of the above.
No, you got to answer. We like this. They need to hear it.
I can't.
They need to hear it.
Okay,
Nope.
so you answer it as
I'll
his
be
right-hand
suspended
man.
for another 65 games.
But no, I don't. But I don't know who else would. He's right when he says all of them. It's insane how the lack of respect he gets from referees. I'll never understand. And go figure. The one he did get was the respect he got the most was probably from Dave Barry, who's one of the most decorated refs, one of the best guys. Now he runs Ontario Soccer Refereeing, I believe. And he's one of the greatest guys. And go figure, he showed Carm the most respect. And even us as players, we
showed all of us respect.
He would give it to us
Barry's
back,
a beauty.
and we loved it, and we were okay with it. He knew how to manage players. The refs these days don't know how to manage coaches, don't know how to manage players.
Guys, refereeing has to understand that, and whoever's done this has siloed referees versus players. It's still the game. They're part of the game. They have to be part of the entertainment value. They have to be part of being as fair as possible as they can. But they separate themselves, their egos, everything like that. I remember Dave Barry's CPSL game. We're playing against Croatia, and that he got duped so bad into calling a penalty. Duped. And I said, "You got duped. What do you want me to say to you? You got absolutely."
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't say it like that.
You didn't say it that nice.
You got duped. I said, "You got duped."
Yeah.
Respectfully, sir, you've been duped.
He handed him a note, eh?
Yeah.
He handed him a note, and he said, hello, kind sir, you've been duped.
Hello, sir. I told my people to call
and I
that.
said to him, "This lesson you're going to learn is going to make you better. But you were shit there. Oh, you were terrible there, and you're going to learn the lesson next time." And then I almost ran him over with my car. That was another story. By accident.
Okay, who's the ref you hate the most? Can you answer that?
Nope.
Yeah, don't put him on the spot with that.
No, don't say those.
I love all referees.
You've had the opportunity to.
I've had some crazy referees. Gordon Aerosmith was the best referee, bar none, back in the NSL as a player. Gordon Aerosmith, and he's still doing evaluations and everything.
You've had the opportunity to coach the three of us as a front three and to be on a podcast now with the three of us. Do we work better as a front three or as local celebrities?
Local celebrities.
We knew that answer.
Local celebrities.
84.
Local celebrities.
84 or 86 Missouri settle the debate once and for all. One game, winner take all.
What are we talking about? Team or players?
Who wins?
Who's
Who
going to win
wins
the
that
game?
game?
84 against 86
One game.
in their primes.
Oh, 84.
Oh,
You know
I always
why? You know, just you know
tell them
why?
why though, because they had better players. We know
Well,
that.
better players for sure. Better,
Yeah.
yeah, like Derek Rios,
Dom,
Lombardo, Dama
Yeah.
Pong, Mikey Lou,
Jamie Peters.
Jamie
Peters.
Peters.
Yeah, we're not losing this. There is zero chance we lose this game, guys.
You
No, but hey, I love him with all my heart. But your boy Michael Marquez. Oh wait, you bring
Capo.
Marcelo Capozolo in the mix.
Caposolo.
Well, I don't know.
Capo's
It's getting
fishing.
closer and
Capo's
closer.
fishing somebody into a red card.
Is this
100%.
OPDL where Joseph Marcantonio has to play at least 20 minutes?
We still have that rule for over 35,
what
by
about
the way.
Kyle Hall?
Kyle Hall.
Yeah.
Impact.
Listen, the big difference is in the back. Our back.
Yeah.
Our back is better.
Yeah.
That's
So
what the
84.
difference. I'm
You're
not
sticking with that
No,
answer.
it's a tie. Well, Matt Felice versus Nick Macri. Nick Macri with or without the tooth?
Yeah, it's true. Is he in his spandex with no shorts? We don't know. It's possible.
So he's going with the 84s out there. Carm, we're gonna play a game here. I told you we're gonna play a game at the beginning. Luca and Penna, you got to be quiet because this is quick, Carm. No explanations, just names. You might have seen this game on Instagram. I'm gonna give you two players, either or. They're from your past, and you gotta give me one player. You gotta stick with that player. Okay, ready? You understand the rules?
Absolutely.
Kova or Frank Jonke?
Whoa, Frank Jonke.
Frank Jonke or Luca Forno?
Luca Forno.
Luca Forno or Murphy?
Luca Forno.
Luca Forno or Mass Mirabelli?
Lucas Forno.
Luca Forno or Desi?
Oh, Desi.
Desi or Jarek?
Desi.
Desi or Pileski?
Oh. Oh. Desi.
Desi or Serge DeLuca? Desi or Telfer?
Oh, boy. Desi.
Desi or Cox?
Desi.
Desi or Shane Lammy?
Desi.
Desi or Dom Opong?
Oh, that's a good one, too. Desi.
Desi or Frank Bruno?
Oh! Frank Bruno.
Frank Bruno or Mike Luke?
Frank Bruno.
FB or Dylan Carrero?
Frank Bruno.
Frank Bruno or Adrian Penna?
What? Gotta go Penna.
Wow.
That's a huge one. Yeah, that's the toughest one. That's the toughest one.
We're going to take a break here. Explain that answer super quick.
That one's impossible.
It's not impossible.
No, that one's impossible.
That's a hard one, but like I don't know. Like just that he's won how many national championships?
I've got 3
And
national titles.
Frankie's got one. That's the only difference. That's the only measurable difference.
Like MJ LeBron debates here, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Penna or Lau? It's not going to be easy. This is not an easy show.
Oh wow. That's a close one. That's a close one. I'm gonna say Penna.
Penna or Stinner? Stinner didn't even play. He was just there for the treatment table, right?
In his blue Umbro hoodie.
Penna or CT?
Turner? Turner was a
legend.
role player. Turner was a baller and a role player, but he just did the grunt work for Angelo Palestrone. But I gotta go with Penna.
Penna or Jamie Peters?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. Money. It's still Penna.
Penna or Jamal Smith?
Whoa. But
We're coming to the end here.
Jamal Smith, there's no Penna. Without Penna.
Penna still. Penna or Gerard?
Oh. That's a tough one too, but
Oh, you missed Rouge. Poor Rouge.
Who's next?
Penna.
Penna or Rouge? Penna or Lams?
Penna.
Hey!
Penna or Zepp?
Oh. Penna.
Penna or Ali?
Penna.
Penna or Fonzie?
Oh. You know what? I hate Penna.
You want me to tell you the only guy who beat Penna right now? Obviously, Frank Bruno's close. If I mention this name, he'll be Penna. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Junior. Carm loves
So
Junior.
they're exactly the same. They're a lot alike.
He
They're a
loved
lot alike.
Junior. Carm
Yeah.
loved Junior.
Junior's the one player on Dave DiDonato's team. I used to go watch when he used to train with us. There was times where I'd get goosebumps and I'd sit up and clap.
Listen, I'm
Yeah.
going to answer that one for you, Carm.
Yeah.
That's a junior because my era, going to the soccer center to watch Junior Hoylett play in the 88 age group,
Yeah.
he was the first player in my life where I said, that guy is way better than I am. Watching
He
him
was
play,
ridiculous.
he
But
was
even now, like me and we were the national team, and I was like, "Okay, how are you going to leave this guy out?
Yeah.
He's 35, whatever, 34. But how do you leave this guy out? Like when you need a goal, when you need a bit of magic, you know, there's the strength. When he holds, when we talk about the red zone, getting the ball to the red zone, like Ryan Robinson, we talk about all the time. There's not too many better players that get you to that red zone, that get you facing the goal, get you creating stuff. But he does that and more. Like his passes, his first touch, his ability. Yeah, like he's fantastic. I really think he's still national team worthy.
Beautiful. Hey,
Penna won though.
Penna won the game though. Best youth
Yes,
player
Penna
you've ever
won.
coached.
Penna won. Frankie Bruno and Desi are like Desi was the one player at TFC. I don't know if you remember when I was helping with the first team, the second team. We would bring him in, and everyone knows the story about us beating them 4-0.
Yeah.
Get back in, all right. And Desi was just a beast. Everywhere we went, the other team would say, "Hey, what's up with that guy? Who is that guy? What is that guy? What's his story? What's his story? Blah 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 blah." He would be dominant, dominant. We had a good second team too, but every time I went to Mr. Johnson and say, "You need to take a look at this guy," he would do the exact opposite. So he would do the exact opposite and never got him a look. At the end of the year, I'll never forget, Mike Makovich. You guys remember Mike? You know Mike, Andrea. He comes to me and goes, "You know what? You're right." I go, "There's one game left in the season. Why don't you play him?" Mo. I was like, "Okay." But Desi was the one player that got slighted. Desi, Penna, Frankie Bruno had his opportunities. He was at Kansas City for a while, for a little bit. Desi and Penna, I think, never got that opportunity because of never got that opportunity to fail, right? Never got that opportunity to fail. And Desi, for me, I think he would have been one of the better players on Toronto FC at the time for sure, and would have made a proper career in MLS or somewhere else moving forward.
If I left you off the Carm list, I'm sorry. We get people, writing in and seeing us, and they're like, "Hey, you forgot about me." Lou, you have some shout outs that you're going to get to in the next few minutes.
Well, on that list, no Joey Cheech, legend, national winning goal, legend, Noners, the best position change ever from worst striker to amazing center back. I'm kidding, Noners, not worst striker.
Hey, Lou Iaconetti in the under 21 OWSL. Remember when we were with Portugal? Lou Iaconetti is the one who did that. And I was like, huh.
Yeah.
So shout out to Lou Iaconetti.
Shout out to Gold.
Hey, let's forget Mauricio Agone Stag this weekend too. He's another legend.
Nice. Gogs was a big one.
I can't beat him in Italy.
Domi the Ginge. Domi was amazing. Come on, don't forget Domi.
Go with your shout outs.
No one shout out about Casey Zamello.
We talked about him last episode, but you don't listen.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Which one?
My shout out is for last week with Patrice. We mentioned a lot of people, but we didn't mention Vince Calabria and Joe Colangelo. Okay, big parts of the club, and we need to mention him. Vince, he goes unnoticed. Did coach Kamal Miller with the 97s. I think he coached Luke Singh, who yesterday started for York United, and a few other guys helped with Tony Ewan also coached Love Machine to mark him and Roosh. Coach Love Machine to mark Jonathan David out of the game. Don't forget that. Joe Kalanch, who does an amazing job with HP. He's always done an amazing job with HP.
Isn't he a podcaster too? Doesn't he do a show?
Yeah.
He is a podcaster as well.
It's a podcast.
Yeah, he's helped. He performed
You
miracles.
guys should fight. You guys should
All
fight
three
like
teams.
Anchorman. Like Anchorman. You guys should
I know.
fight.
03 team with the Rogue League. My other shout out is to Mike DeLuca, legend, futsal and soccer legend, who saw me on Friday night. He got mad at me. I still don't know what he's mad at me about. He says I got something wrong in the podcast. I have no clue. Mike's always mad at me. And the whole TFCO crew who listens to the show. Every time I see them Friday, they mention something about the show. Huge beauties, huge legends in the game as well. But they had to exit out of the open age and over 30 league because of Sons of CI. Don't forget Sons of CI, baby.
Penna, you got any shout outs?
I got a shout out to Joe Marcantonio. We just finished his bachelor party. He made it home alive, which was a surprise. So
That's why your voice is struggling today.
my voice is not well. Yes. So shout out
You
to
look
Joe.
tired. You look
Biggest
tired.
beauty.
Lack of hydration, I guess, at the resort.
I may have slept 8 hours in 5 days.
Oh God, Joe Marcantonio.
Hey,
Love you, Joe.
Carm, you got any shout outs?
Shout out. No, what am I going to shout? What are shout outs? I don't know.
I don't know. Shout out Sash for his assist on Saturday.
For his 5 Volto?
I didn't say that.
It's got to be better. It's got to be better.
Hey, I'm going to.
Shout
Go,
out my
Your dog?
Markham men's basketball league team. We beat
Nice.
number 8 seed, beat 1 seed,
Let's go.
and then we lost to the 6th seed, so we sucked again.
And last thing. Shout out to Gatorade 5v5. Vaughn won on the boys' side and the girls'
Let's
side,
go.
which means they'll be traveling to Munich. And if they win the Worlds, they go to Champions League finals. Not easy to win the Worlds. I went last year with the 08s, who were an incredible 5v5 team. We lost in the semis last year, which was in London. Now we're going to Munich, girls and boys. Vaughn Soccer Club, baby.
That's
Vaughn
awesome.
Soccer Club.
You're going for some bootleg cotolete then.
Yeah, little schnitzel never hurt anyone.
Hey, I got two shout outs. Shout out number 1, my nephew Alessio. He does not miss an episode of the pod, listens to it on the way to and from practice. So shout out Alessio. And he's always giving me a voto. That was a good episode, decent episode. He learned so much. Today, those out there need to learn, because it was a brief comment there from Carm. Carm's a low-key elite men's league basketball player. We'll save that for the next episode maybe, but elite men's league basketball player. And second shout out, Severio Adenaria hooked us up with some swag. Okay.
Nice.
Oh,
Thank you, Severio, and thanks everyone for listening. A big shout out and thank you to our sponsors again, and be sure to tune in weekly for our next episode of the Technical Area coming up on the next few episodes when schedules permit. Carm, we got Shane Lammy coming on the pod, U17 national team youth coach. We got Rocco Placentino coming on the pod. Sporting director at CS Saint Laurent over in Quebec. And let us know who you want to hear from, and we'll try and get them on. Luca's got his recruiting hat on. He's very good at it. Thanks so much. And last thing, if you don't already, Carm, I know you haven't, get Luca to do it for you. Subscribe, download, review the podcast. Make sure you follow on all our channels. Help us grow this football community that we're growing. Thanks so much again, Carm, for taking the time. I know the brisket's probably burnt by now, if I'm not mistaken.
Slow cook brisket.
We appreciate the time.
The Godfather.
Thank
Grande Carmine.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, guys. Thank you.